This is Daily Armenia, CivilNet's daily news digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia today. Armenia's defense ministry put forward a bill for public discussion yesterday that would, if adopted, shorten mandatory military service from 24 to 18 months starting next summer. The ministry said that the reform is linked to plans to expand the number of contracted soldiers in the armed forces. Lengthy conscription has long been one of the factors driving emigration among Armenia's youth, as well as one of the main deterrents for potential repatriates. Earlier this year, a group of ruling party lawmakers proposed a separate initiative that would have allowed conscripts to reduce their service to as little as 1 month by paying large sums into the state budget, with the funds intended to cover salaries of professional servicemen replacing them. That proposal was met with sharp criticism from activists and the wider public, who argued it would deepen social inequality by effectively enabling the wealthy to buy their way out of service. Following public backlash, the bill was shelved indefinitely. Armenian border guards will be stationed at checkpoints on both ends of the so-called Trump route in southern Armenia, expected to connect mainland Azerbaijan with its Yerevan exclave, Armenia's Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan announced yesterday. The arrangement comes after long-standing disagreements between Yerevan and Baku over the terms of the route's operation. Pashinyan clarified that Azerbaijani travellers will not normally have to interact directly with Armenian border guards and will instead be able to scan their passports through automated devices. There cannot be a border without border guards. In many countries, border guards do not check passports of those entering. Scanning devices handle it, he said, adding that human contact would occur only if issues arise with the system or the identities of travellers. Pashinyan also noted that Armenia plans to implement similar automated systems at all its checkpoints, including borders with Iran, Turkey, Georgia, and at airports. Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev had previously insisted that his country's nationals should feel safe while crossing into Armenia and by no chance should be meeting face-to-face with Armenian border guards. The issue has long been a point of contention, as Armenia intends to maintain full control over its checkpoints, while Baku seeks what it calls unimpeded access. Azerbaijan has for decades sought a transport link to Yerevan, with demands intensifying after the 2020 war. Initially, Russian border guards were meant to oversee the route, but Armenia delayed implementation. Eventually, an agreement was reached for the United States to act as a neutral party, though it will not deploy personnel. Instead, a joint Armenian-American venture is expected to operate the link, with Armenia and the US sharing revenue from transit. Washington accepted Armenia's vision for the project, calling it the Crossroads of Peace, rather than using Baku's term for a so-called Zangezur corridor. If you wish to learn more about this unique road, watch our thorough explainer about the route, which explains why the difference in terminology matters and provides insight into the broader context of the issue. You can watch it by following the link below. Also yesterday, Prime Minister Pashinyan defended his cabinet's decision not to increase military spending in 2026, following criticism that the move comes as Azerbaijan raises its own defence budget. Speaking in Parliament, Pashinyan said that the government's approach is shaped by earlier sharp increases and debt management priorities. In 2025, compared with the 2024 budget, we had a significant and disproportionate increase in defence spending, about $300 million, roughly 25%, Pashinyan said. Part of these funds went to cover debts and obligations in the defence sector. For payments that were due in 2030 or 2035, we considered it reasonable to settle them now to reduce the debt burden. He added that by this logic, 2026 expenditures remain higher than in 2024, even if they appear flat compared with 2025. There are also other considerations, which I can only present to Parliament members behind closed doors if necessary, he concluded. The government's plan to freeze military spending has been strongly criticised inside Armenia. Although Armenia currently devotes more than 6% of its GDP to defence, analysts stress that consistent growth is necessary for modernisation. The stakes go beyond procurement. Salaries, benefits, and conditions of service sustain morale in Armenia's most trusted institution. Freezing or cutting them would accelerate the loss of qualified officers and deter recruits. A demotivated army is not just weaker on the battlefield, it erodes the very core of national security and identity. Edward Arakelian, a military expert at the Yerevan-based Regional Centre for Democracy and Security, told CivilNet. Following a peace declaration signed between Yerevan and Baku in Washington last month, Fitch Ratings said Armenia and Azerbaijan could see an improved credit outlook if they maintain momentum in peacebuilding. This could explain why the Armenian government is keen to redirect resources from defence towards civilian initiatives and social programmes. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.